Hi guys, had a bit of a disaster printing part 2. The printer had a power outage, or at least that's what the message said on it this morning when I came to look at it, and it said, did I want to continue? So I said yes, because it only done about 35% or something. Well, maybe a bit more, it might have been 50%. So I just hit the button and said continue. What I forgot was it's a glass bed that grips when it's hot and releases when it's cold. So where it had cooled down overnight, when it started reprinting, this piece actually slipped on the bed. And I didn't bother to check it until I came back to look at it later on when it had finished. And the continued section was in the right orientation. This had slipped off to one side. So the top half of this was across like that. So I've trimmed it all up. There's enough of it there for us to actually test putting it into the Black & Decker. And the reason we're doing this version, this was a test piece, to put a latch on it, a locking latch or a lock, what you want to call it, that bit there, or actually that bit there on that one. So that just sits in there. There's a bit of a ridge there to hold it in place. We could put springs on it, but this is just to test whether that will latch in place. So we pull this one up, slide it in, and so we push it in. There we go, latched in place. And then just flick it up to release it. Obviously, we need to retain it in some way. And if we were going to put a spring load on it, which I don't think it needs, we could put a screw through there with a spring on it. So that works. So if you didn't see the previous episode, that was stage 1, just to check that we can use these spade end terminals, crimps. They go into the power slots okay. And I also demonstrated that with that XT connector on the end of there, we can connect it onto the Parkside battery with that adapter, and it works. So that all works. The next step, and the more I look at this, the more I think probably not worth doing, is we need to make an adapter now, like that one, but full size. So we slide that on top of all of this, and it all holds together. And the more I look at this, the more I think, is that really worthwhile? It'd be nice to do it, and I may carry on and do it, but at this point, that fits on there nicely. I could actually, we don't need the XT connector, we can just make another one of those connectors with the spade terminals on it, bit of wire, spade terminals on that end, so it plugs into there, and then a couple of cable ties around it, or a strap of some sort, just to hold it in place. And that's as far as we need to go. That will be job done. It works. So it's very tempting to stop at that position. I think I want to come back just a little bit like that. And that actually sits on the flat surface there. If we're going to do it the way it should be, well, in my opinion it should be, then that ought to be that way up. So we need to build a whole assembly there for that to slot into. I might carry on and do that, but I'm just thinking, if I just wanted to get this thing running, then another bit of cable with spade ends on both ends, in there, job done. Anyway, that must be episode 2. Just another little point about not going any further and building a plinth for it. PLA, which is what I use, does have a habit of splitting along the layer lines. So there's every chance that if we do build a nice bracket for that to go into, or adapter, if I drop it on the floor at any time and it hits it, it'll probably split and fall off. Obviously you could use other filaments rather than PLA that are a bit more durable, but that's just something to think about, whether it's worth going any further.
So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave us a comment so I know how I'm doing. And somewhere up here there'll be some links to related playlists. Thanks again.